It is special access. Need to know Wednesday, delayed one day on a Thursday. Thank you very much for your patience, guys. I appreciate it. 26-year-old daughter got sideswiped by a big utility truck, and she's fine. Car's totaled, but got to do the dad thing. So, anyway, that's taken care of. And while that was going on, it allowed me to let something grow on my channel to prove a point about how effective psychological operations are, even when people know that that's what's going on. Now, of course, what I am referring to is the map video. Pull this up real quick just for reference. Okay, now, let me stop this real quick. This is the most recent version of the map video. I put it up last night, very, very late, and literally overnight, hundreds and hundreds of comments telling me I'm full of it, I don't know what I'm talking about. Strangely, though, now, as the channel has grown from, I think it was about 20,000 subs when the first map video came out, to little 50, 55,000 subs now, it seems like some of it might be sinking in. But nevertheless, I wanted to show you this. On YouTube, as a channel owner, when I go to look at comments, okay, I have 3 folders. Published comments, comments held for review, and likely spam. Now, of course, likely spam, everybody knows what that is. We get these people that are trying to promote an idea or something else, and they copy-paste the exact same comment on or replies to anyone else all over the videos. And YouTube, of course, sees this. Those comments don't actually get posted. The poster sees them, but no one else in the world does, and I can go in and then delete them. Now, held for review. These are potentially inappropriate comments. I have, of course, all of the foul language set up in held for review. So, anyway, normal overnight is about 100 to 110. Of course, today, 308. People basically telling me I'm full of it and I don't know what I'm talking about. And, most importantly, they are saying I said things in the video that I literally said the opposite of. And that's key. Because with psychological operations, people get an idea in their head about certain things and certain people, and no matter what is actually said, they will only hear what the PSYOP has basically manipulated them into hearing. So I thought in today's video, instead of me going through and deleting all this, I would go through and show you what I deal with on a daily basis. Now, the channel is now kind of leveling off as far as the amount of views. There was a time during, last month or so, there was a spike, and the channel was getting about 150,000 views a day, which is insane for something this small. Now that spike, that doesn't last. Right now it's down about 50,000 views a day. But this number here, this held for review number, represents about triple what it would normally be. And once again, it has to do with the psychological operation of the map. When you look at, and I'll bring this up one more time, the map, people are used to seeing political maps. And so they see the red in the middle, and they initially start to have a positive feeling. But then they see orange and green, and they're like, what does this all mean? And then, of course, they realize what's being said. And because they have laid so much emotional baggage onto the idea of their little hovels in the Midwest being safe and sound and away from all the terrible, horrible places like California and Florida and New York and Virginia, that they literally cannot stand any controversial viewpoint to that. The prepper community is as much like a cult as I have ever seen. They have their standard, basically Bible of the way to go about things and the way to do things. And anybody who argues with it, anybody who would say that maybe that's not a great idea, boy, I tell you what, it's a frightening thing to see. But without any further ado, let's see if we can identify some of the things we've talked about. Cognitive dissonance, availability heuristic, correlation, causation, and it's all through here. Anyway, prisoners, and this is actually just 1 minute ago. This popped up actually while I was talking. They wouldn't be a major problem. I'll smoke them the same as anyone. The fact is, these are people not smart enough to get away with their crimes. Of course, not understanding that most prisoners have gotten away with hundreds of crimes. They were only caught once. And, of course, this guy basically believing that his ability to fire a weapon makes him impervious. That he doesn't have to sleep, that he doesn't have to eat, that he doesn't have to use facilities, and that he can be looking in, all four cardinal directions at the same time. Alrighty. This guy here actually, and I'm starting to see this, starting to get it. Lack of sleep, hot, yelled at. That sounds like my job. SHTF will be a vacation. I got such a good plan I can't say it. Only fuel oil because of cold is a problem. P.S. I drive a food truck. It's getting nuts. I have delivered to federal prisons. The prisoners are very well behaved. That can change. It's getting nuts on the interstate. 100 miles per hour swerving is common during heavy traffic. Incrementally building up to SHTF's scenario. Now, this is something I've thought about doing a video on. About how it wouldn't take very much during a high traffic event to cause a cascade failure that could create a nightmare like this literally out on the highways. All right, let's see here as we go down here. Okay, Aaron Asmus. I love how you have Florida as being perfectly safe. Never said that. Yeah, right. This is obviously not taking into account natural or man-made disasters. Maybe an earthquake in California, tsunami, which would flood the shit out of Florida, California. Everybody hopes their state will be the safest. NATO will be brought in to fill the gaps. FEMA, then a blackout grid. You're right, but a natural disaster. Okay, first of all, in the video, literally I led with, we're talking about 3, 5, 7 days after a collapse of either the economic system, something like that. And so he has to think up some kind of random event that's going to make the place that I said is green, not green. So, availability heuristic, and let's see, what else would that be? Basically the idea that he's going to take a very specific thing to prove the general rule. All right. Okay, and this is one of my favorites just because it's so ridiculous. They aren't releasing anyone. They'll just send you to the FEMA camps. There's a reason the government bought 30,000 guillotines and hundreds of thousands of 5 to 6 person black FEMA caskets. Do you know how many people it takes to operate a guillotine properly? They didn't order guillotine. It's ridiculous. And then, of course, it goes off into 5G and ridiculous stuff like this RFID chip stick in your arm, blah, 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 blah. And like I said, we're only into, the first 2% of this.
I don't know that.
Yeah, sorry about that. I did leave our good friend from Amazon on, so. Alexa, stop listening. There we go. How would Henry Soylent Greens. How would the gas station pumps work without power? They'll probably walk. And that's one way to depopulate the world of preppers and useless eaters. According to the elite Jesuit handlers, they've just got to add this stuff in all the time. All right. All right, here we go. Kate Starling. Listen again to your take on what prisoners would do if society collapsed and needed to comment on some of my assumptions. That preppers are overweight and just sit around and watch Fox. Most preppers I know, availability heuristic, meaning I'm going to use my anecdotal evidence to disprove your general theory. Ex-military, well-armed, well-trained, well-supplied, and work out daily, know their defensive and escape routes, and are well-prepared. Prisoners, but once again, she thinks that represents most preppers, and it doesn't. Prisoners are in highly stressed mental and physical environments and want nothing more than to head out in the middle of nowhere. That's my quote. If that's the case, is nowhere going to provide them with all the guns, ammo, food, water, and comfort to survive? Yes. Now that's my response there. Have you ever lived or driven Nebraska, Iowa, or other farm belt communities? I was born and raised in Indiana. Are they going to walk or drive several states and then all miles between farms for food or water that they may not find when the cities have most of what they need? Once again, the cities will not have most of what they need. After 3 to 5 days, they'll be completely out. This is one of the reasons preppers live where they live. And she's literally making the exact opposite assertion here. And they're not going to need to walk. They will have access to cars. People saying that the gas stations will be empty, all that's going to have happened is the gas station will have taken the fuel and pumped it into vehicles parked in people's driveways. And of course, the old standby, number 3. Not all prisoners are thugs and murderers. Literally said it in every single video I did. That I was talking about the most violent 10%, which would be about 250,000 guys. Finally, don't underestimate the survival instincts of the common folks. Many a grandma can handle a firearm. Once again, availability heuristic, taking over, and anecdotal evidence. She thinks she speaks for most. Alrighty. Now here, I don't know what this guy's saying. You are full of shit. Now, usually when the comment starts that way, I don't even continue reading. I just go over to the trash button. When I was in the 82nd at Bragg in the 70s, we had a foreign general review the troops, and he made a comment. He said in his army, the generals were fat and the enlisted men were skinny, but the American military is just the opposite. I don't know what this has to do with the prisoners. So, weird. Now this guy, he's absolutely batshit crazy. He, literally every comment he makes ends up in held for review. He goes from how is a metrosexual supposed to survive? It has to do with missing sleep, being under stress. Autistic family members will be more of a threat. Trump not sharing his umbrella. Logan Paul. I mean, literally, this is what happens with people, is they see stuff like this, and cognitive dissonance throws them into such a state that they will go on for paragraphs. Eighth Day Man, this is all bullshit. Usually hit the trash button. You have obviously never been in prison. That doesn't mean, once again, that's just an assumption that unless you have ABC, then you can't speak on XYZ. About 95% of inmates are from the inner city. I would really love to see that stat. Any proof of that. That's where they're going back to. I've had dozens of conversations with guys who got busted with little meth labs, and after 3 or 4 years of being clean sober, every one of them can't wait to get a meth high again, and they're going to go back hook with their running buddies. Okay, in a normal situation, maybe that might be true. But in a complete breakdown of society, no, they're going to be food, water, shelter, just like everybody else. Felons have an 85% return rate. I'm not exactly sure what that has to do with what we're talking about. Your fantasy of hundreds of buff dudes from working out in the gym being in the woods is ludicrous. Never said that. I said there's a bunch of guys in there that are accustomed to living under stress. Most of them are skinny but hard as nails. And they're literally living, I've said this before, what you call shit hits the fan, they call Tuesday. Now, I can't believe I'm already at 13:49, but I could literally go through this for the next hour with you guys and show you that this is so easy to do. It's insane. I can literally tell people, I'm going to put a video out tomorrow, and it's going to be a complete psychological operation to get you to evoke in or emote in cognitive dissonance or these other types of psychological dysphoria, and they do it anyway. So if my little tiny itty-bitty 50,000 subscriber channel can do it with just a cell phone pointed at a computer screen, what do you think places like Fox, CNN, InfoWars, Breitbart, these people that have access to millions and millions of dollars, large armies of trained, and by large armies I mean thousands, of trained psychological operators posing as journalists, could do to the American public? literally when you tell them you're doing it, they still buy into it anyway. It is, okay, once again, they start, you are full of shit, bro. I don't know what people think is going to happen to their comment when they start off with that. This guy is lying. This is from another video. Hold on. I can tell half y'all in this comments never had a loved one in prison or ever been locked up in jail. Sad how people can judge by a cover of the book. Not everyone in there are bad people. Once again, literally said it. 1 in 10. Prisoners are manned 24/7 and they'll be eliminated, dumbass. Really. And I can see a few prisoners heading to rural America, but most of them will head to population hubs. Maybe for a minute. But once they realize how dangerous it is, and that's where all of the security forces are, they're going to go the other direction. Let's see, I'm obviously a socialist. Okay, this chick, Kate Starling, literally has decided to spam and go through all of my comments and leave her opinion because she disagrees with me. And here's something else, and I'll leave with this since we're 16:38 minutes. It is an amazing thing to see when you put up videos that people disagree with or have been psychologically conditioned to disagree with. They will almost engage more on videos they disagree with than videos they agree with. And then they'll come back and say, how do I block you? Why are you showing up in my feed? Why does YouTube think I want to see your videos? YouTube thinks that because you go to all my videos and you comment multiple times over and over and over again and you engage. They don't care whether you're engaging negatively or positively. They just know you're engaged. And sometimes these people will come back multiple times to argue the point. And that's just, becomes this self-fueling, self-feeding thing that it's crazy. People have asked me, can you please block me from seeing your videos? I'm like, no, I can't. I can block you from commenting, but I can't control what YouTube shows you. Okay, now this guy, ICO, starts out almost like an intelligent person. I believe you're incorrect. That's fine. These people are not getting out. They're doomed. The governor will not let them out 3 days without water. It's over. Well, okay, all right. You're not breaking into prison and shit. It's the fan. The last thing the governor is going to do is to release anyone that's a laugh. Maintaining control is government's top priority. That's true, but they're not going to have the ability to control all those prisons. They don't have the people. A skeleton crew of guards will lock it down and turn off the water first. No, they're not. There's no skeleton crew of guards going to go down into the and turn off the water mains. There's no $15 an hour guard going to do that. Foreign agents would, oh, I see. So the government's going to do this so that the prisoners aren't turned into foreign agents to help overthrow the government. Some are getting shot, lack of water. Okay, so he started out almost like he was halfway intelligent, but... So anyway, yeah. This is what I don't show YouTube. The amount of crazy that's out here. So we will leave it there. Thank you guys for your patience. I very much appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you.